Thank you for joining us.
So tell us more about Challenge Slavery.
Challenge Slavery is a USAID project which is intended to do something about the scourge of human trafficking around the globe. And one of the reasons we're delighted to host them is that a big part of the project is to get students on campuses involved, seeing them as active part of the solution. And that's exactly how we see our students, as being part of the solution to problems just like human slavery.
Now, what made you decide to bring students in to address the issue of human slavery?
Well, we think that the young people at our university and around the country have the ideas and the creativity to solve problems like this, in part because they're active, thinking, creative individuals who have a huge resource that are not tapped, but also because they have an awareness of the technology and some of the social changes that are necessary to be cognizant of if you want to address contemporary problems like slavery. And so, as the Deputy Administrator said during her remarks, we need the people who are in this technological context every day of their lives to be part of the brainstorming session that comes up with new solutions.
Great. What an ingenious idea to get the students involved. And like you said, these students are young, they're vibrant, and they're interested in social issues. A lot of children, a lot of teenagers, or I should say young adults, are interested in social issues.
Absolutely. I think so. This is one of the great, I think, misconceptions and unfair characterizations that you hear about the young people are self-centered, they don't care, they're not engaged. It's just not true. They are very engaged, they see the problems around, and they want to solve the problems. And in my experience, from the students that I've dealt with here, they're frustrated by the inaction that they see from the institutions that are ostensibly there to be solution generators. And they say, well, if you're not going to solve the problem, get out of the way, we will. And so we need to make way for them.
Now, how huge is this problem? Is it a huge problem? Is it just in the United States? Is it in other countries? How huge is this problem?
It's an enormous global problem. It's not just in the United States, but it's certainly here. And I think we underestimate how omnipresent it is. There's trafficking going on in our neighborhoods. There are young people being exploited every day. Some of them are from the United States and they're drawn into sex trafficking domestically, but there's also a huge global trafficking phenomenon, estimated at maybe 20 million people per year that are involved in some sort of human trafficking. One of the challenges, quite frankly, is we don't know exactly the scope of the problem. It's very hard to have good data. And so one of the things we need to do to fight the problem is to better understand the problem, get our hands around it. What we do know is every day millions of people are affected by it, and so it's simply unacceptable for us to watch this problem without doing something.
Could you tell us the forms of human trafficking?
Well, so I think we've talked some about sex trafficking and obviously people being brought into the international and domestic sex trade, but it's not just sex trafficking. There's all kinds of forced labor involved in manufacturing, and as the speakers alluded to, we could think of people being forcibly conscripted into child armies as being a form of sex trafficking. So I think there are many varieties. People tend to focus on, or often focus on, the sex trade, but that's one variety among many.
Now, has this ever affected you personally? What made you, what created this desire to attack this issue on the campus?
Well, I wouldn't take any credit for being a champion of this issue. What I'm responding to is many of my colleagues on the faculty and many of the students in the university who are passionate about this. And it's my job to support them, to create a context where they can make a difference. And I've had my eyes opened, like many of the people in this room, to the scope and nature of this problem. And so my obligation is to give them the tools and the opportunity to make a difference.
Well, I want to tell you that Life Matters Today is committed. Conscious TV is committed to addressing this issue and bringing awareness and education about human trafficking. I thank you very much for the interview, and thank you very much for the challenge.
Thank you. It's of course my pleasure, and I hope to work with you in the future.
Yes, you know, I really enjoyed hearing you speak, really enjoyed hearing the passion behind the voice, but the passion behind the voice was driven by a testimony. And your testimony was really, I mean, it was just so profound, just the things that you went through. And if I would have heard it, I wouldn't have never have thought that it was human trafficking.
My name is Rachel Irby. I'm the executive director of Unchained.
Wonderful. Well, what brings you to this event, Challenge Slavery?
Well, we actually were contacted by ASU as one of the community partners within the Phoenix area, and we do a lot with raising awareness within communities, not just here in Phoenix, but also nationally. We travel the country, we speak on college campuses, do trainings for professionals and so on. So we had the opportunity to be here today. One of our board members got to speak, who's a survivor, so we were excited to be here and support her for that as well.
Yes. That's wonderful. So tell us, how are you bringing awareness and educating people about human trafficking? Most of the time, people don't think about the domestic sex trafficking or even trafficking body parts. I mean, it's a lot of different forms of trafficking. Yeah. So tell us more about that.
What our focus is primarily is here domestically, and it's on sex trafficking. So we look at the force, fraud, and coercion that's brought in for sex trafficking for any woman or child who's commercially sexually exploited. What we do with Unchained is we try to do a lot of different community awareness events. So it might be partnering with churches, partnering with colleges. We do a lot with training professionals, so training law enforcement and also, as one law enforcement officer told me just recently, they've been misdiagnosing cases for so long. Actually, a case that they might have considered to be a homicide has actually been linked to human trafficking, and they didn't know it. So we are trying to go out there and educate them on how to identify victims. And then once you have a victim, what do you do with them? You know, what kind of services need to be provided, and where can they go to get the services they need? Other than that, we do a lot with videos. We try to do a lot with community awareness. Creating videos off of poetry, getting the creative arts involved. However we can touch people, however it touches their hearts, that's what we try to do to engage them to become more aware about this issue.
Well, wonderful. Thank you so much for your commitment to the community and to the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
But I'm gonna tell you something. If you pay the price, you can get what you want. I can get it for you.
Really?
Now, if you want something really young, that $200 it just costs a little more than that.
Sure.
But how young you talking? Talk to me.
Well, how young do you have?
Well, I don't have nothing younger than 14.
Okay, no, 14 is good.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Well, you're gonna have to add something to that.
Sure.
What you willing to add to that too? Just talk to me.
Well, like I said, this is my first time out.
You know. Now you.
So the girls over there cost $2, is that?
That's the women.
The women.
Now, if I told you $2, and you know you want something young, and I tell you just to add something to it, just tell me you just pick a figure to that.
Well, I guess what, 3?
3. If you do 3, you got it.
He definitely just beat us, like, he'll probably stump you out, like when you're on the ground, physically stump you. Yeah. He'll probably hit you with a belt, physically slap you, punch you.
He would beat me with broomsticks, candles. He would burn me with candles. He would take metal hangers and beat me with them and poke me with them, belts, anything that he can get his hands on, he would beat me with. The one time he had beat me so bad that he had ruptured my spleen and it put me in the intensive care unit. So it's like, once you knew that he could almost kill you, you'd rather do what he says than to get beat again.
If you come to them, that'll be like 150.
Okay.
If they come to you out call, that'll be like 200.
Okay. And I got a hotel room, so that's an out call.
Yeah, that's
Okay, so 200 each.
Yeah, an hour.
Okay, so I'll give you 400. Or do I give them 200 or I give it to you?
Me, right
Okay,
now.
so I'll give you 400, and then we can tip the girls whatever on top of that.
Yeah, okay, that's about.
Is that all right with you?
Hold on, I run all this.
Okay.
These my girls.
Oh, okay.
They don't do nothing but look pretty and
We're all under 18. We're all the same age. There would be a few girls that I knew that were like in their 20s or whatever, but they had been doing it since they were our age anyways. I did wait till 12, and these girls were doing it since they were like 8 or 9, and now they're like 23.
I want to show them and tell them like what it feel like to be that hoe, to be degraded all the time, to be hit on, to be manipulated, to be sold all day, every day. Who was there to stop it? Nobody was there to stop it.